So you and I met actually here.
Yep.
You know, I was looking for a space to do podcasts. We were trying to do it on our own. We did some. There's a lot behind it, you know, at the end of the day. And, you know, if I can just bring, you know, myself to a place and have everything kind of done for me, that's tremendous, and that's what I was looking for.
For sure.
You know, there's a couple other spots in Austin, and some I told you, even when I reached out, they didn't even respond to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, how can you run a business and you don't have any communication with your clientele? It's ridiculous.
Welcome to the creative industry.
I mean, well, yes, and being a builder, I understand that, right?
Yeah.
There's a creative mind and the business mind, and they typically never meet, right? Nope. And in my industry, it's also the creative and the technical, right? So they, you know, architects can draw pretty pictures, but now it's got to get built, and they don't understand. They're like, oh, well, yeah, you know, if you just do this, you know, and it may add $100,000 to your house.
Yeah.
But if I can move something 6 inches, I can save that. They don't understand that.
For sure.
Know? There are several architects in town that do that, but that's something that you guys do. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you guys currently offer?
Yeah.
And a little bit about the startup of the company and things of that nature.
Well, let's start there. Like how we even, like,
yes,
how did this even like come to fruition, you know, like, I mean, Jake and I had both been operating our own video production companies.
And Jake is
my business partner, CTO here.
Excellent.
And so him and I had, you know, we actually met because we were collabing together with a mutual client from our video production companies. And, you know, Jake had like reached out and we were shooting this like really weird product. It was like holographic and stuff. And they just like needed some help, like figuring out how to shoot it. And then that's how Jake and I met. And then, you know, that was, I don't know, back in 2020 something. And then I ended up convincing him to move here because I was like, you know, if you want to make the big boy money, like,
where'd he come from?
Alabama.
Yeah.
So him and his business partner in that company, they went to school at UA and, you know, they were doing some cool stuff down there and whatnot. But, you know, in terms of like really growing a company and, you know, making the big boy money, like you just got to get out of Alabama, in my opinion. So
absolutely. Well, it's just it's a matter of where's your clientele going to be.
For sure.
You know, and the opportunity out here is a heck of a lot greater because you got a younger entrepreneurial crowd. You know, there's just more options.
For sure. Like more tech, more everything. And so ended up convincing them to move here, and then, you know, we actually got a house together, the three of us, and it was like this like media trap house, and like, you know, we're just all doing video stuff. And
Did you have an Instagram page at that point for it?
No.
Okay.
No, but it was, I mean, you know, our living room, it was a nice house, you know, it was like really, really nice. And there was, you know, the whole living room, you could see like, there's just like 4 massive just rigs built out there that everybody's working on from their side. Like I had my office and whatnot, but they were still getting up and going. But, you know, the one thing that, you know, Jake's company and my company had been doing for a while at that point was like producing podcasts. Like that was, you know, whenever I was first starting Media Pouch, it was like, how do I find like consistent work instead of doing these like one-off big projects? Like, even though it's cool, like I'm working with Lambo, Ferrari, stuff like that. They're big projects, but it's not consistent. And so then that's when I turned to like, well, podcasters, like they're always creating content. Like they have to be putting out 1 podcast a week and yada, yada. So it made sense. And so then that's, you know, I'm sure Jake kind of thought the same thing there too. But that whole just producing the podcast, right? Like you're either going to the client's house or their office or renting a studio. So you're just lugging gear there, you're setting it up, you're shooting. You either got to bring another videographer, live switcher with you to like, you know, switch between the cameras. You know, if you don't do that, then you got to bring it back to the studio, and then you got to edit and, you know, sit there like a monkey and go 1, 2, 3 between all the cameras, you know, and it's not fun to get the end product of a podcast. And so, like we always had known that was like, that was a challenge there. Right. And like it, you know, you really had to like operate at scale for that to make sense from a profit margin standpoint. And so it got to the point for me where I was like, I'm just done with these. Like, it's just so much work. Like, this doesn't make sense. You know, fast forward, you know, the lease was up at Industrious for me. Like, this actually used to be one of my clients like old offices, and it was just a pure blank white canvas.
Yep.
They were getting out of it, and I was like, well, what are you guys doing with this? Because like I had already seen it. I'm like, okay, lounge, podcast studio, video studio, creative cockpit, and then had Jake come in here and check it out. I'm like, you had an idea for a studio. I'm like,
Yeah.
I think this is the place. It's downtown. Like, if you want to go in on this with me, like, I'll do it, you know? And so that's basically where we started at. And we really just wanted to make this place our own to basically bring in clients so that we didn't have to go out there like, okay, cool, come in, do your podcast here, like, cool, ship your products in, we'll shoot them in the video studio. And along the way, you know, we're just taking like the best things, the best and the worst things from other studios that we had seen out there. We're like, what do we not want to do? What do we want to do? You know, what problem? Let's solve this podcast problem thing. Like, if we're going to have a podcast studio. And, you know, it's like, we've always said it'd be really cool if this could just get auto switched, you know, because we understand that it's like, it's such a basic thing, you know, but like figuring that out, you know, that took us like 6 months of like research on YouTube, you know, and like utilizing ChatGPT to like create some code to just do that.
Yeah.
And integrating that into like a video switcher. And then, you know, that's where this all came from.
Yeah.
And we just, you know, we didn't realize we were solving that big of a problem starting out. And we just, we
kind of stumbled in it.
It stumbled
almost.
into it. Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things too, where like, you know, now that we're here, people are like, oh, that's such a good idea. Like, I wish I would have thought of that. And it's like, well, that took like, you know, 4 or 5 years being in the industry to understand like this is a real problem and then solving it. And so
pure trial and error.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, and that's the thing, even in, you know, different industries, if you can make a template of something and use it over and over and over and over again, that breeds efficiency, right?
For sure.
So this essentially is a template. Yeah. You know, one of those things, we do a lot of, you know, photo shoots at our houses and things of that nature. And I almost feel like the setup takes half or more of the actual time of the act of getting the photos and what you need.
It does.
So number one, you've got just the pure setup. Number two, if you're moving this shit constantly everywhere, you're going to break something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now you've got a cost of, oh, great, I dropped a camera by accident.
For sure.
Or something like that. But again, you've made the template. So all you have to do is just insert and fill in the blanks, which ultimately is, you know, people doing podcasts. So that, from a standpoint, is tremendous. So, you know, right out of the gate, that was one of the things that I noticed. You know, we had come in here, kind of done a test run.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. We haven't touched it. But for those that don't have someone that can edit and someone that can tweak certain things, you know, you end up with a product that you walk out of the room with almost. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And you can publish that.
Yep.
Which is just tremendous. So with that said, you know, something like this that you can create a template in, that becomes your bread and butter, and that becomes your machine.
For sure.
What I have found is we have a machine as well. You know, we do a certain product over and over and over and over again, which leaves time, because it is now a template.
Yep.
Which leaves time to do really cool, badass things. You know, things that you really want to do. Super awesome custom homes. You know, spend a lot more time with individual clients to do those things that you can be proud of, because you do have, you know, kind of a machine running, you know, and that pays the bills and can grow into something, you know, huge.
For sure.
So how long have you guys been in business? Together as this?
Yeah. I mean, we opened the doors last year, October 10th was like the first day that we opened to the public. You know, we formed the LLC in like July 28th last year. So like, this company is barely, not even a year old, basically.
It's been pretty quick. And I know that you've had some great people on already. You know, we've know a lot of mutual people. Austin's, while it's growing, still pretty small. For sure. You know, and if there's a basis of people that have been around for a while, they all know each other.
100%.
It's a very tight-knit circle.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
I've learned that very quickly over the years.
Yeah, it becomes the Kevin Bacon game, very easy, very fast.
Yep.
You know, everybody knows everybody in some way, shape, or form.
They definitely do.
So what are some of the plans you have for the future?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is like getting the software to just any studio across the world that wants it, right? Because we understand that, like, you know, the studios are cool, and that's definitely a market that we want to service and stuff. Like, we definitely want to take care of the content creators and the podcasters and make their life way easier and like save them a ton of time and money.
Yeah.
But we also know that there's a ton of studios out there that would probably be able to offer this to their clients, and they would be able to like make, you know, maybe an extra $10,000-$20,000 a month if they had software like this. And
it kind of walks itself.
Exactly. Like, you know, that studio would probably be able to operate at a whole other level if they had something like autonomous like this. And so, you know, that is definitely the big plan of like getting that software and the rack figured out of like, how do we just, you know, ship and, you know, plug and play? Like, how do we just take an order, ship it out to Australia, New Zealand, like Canada, wherever, and then cool, here's your video tutorial on like how to do it. So that's definitely goal number one there, on the software side. And then studio side, we want these to be in every major creative city in the like US to start, and then the world after that. And where it really like dinged to me, where I was like, man, like we have to have these in the major creative cities, was I was watching the Full Send podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys or not. And they like flew, you know, they're like, they live in LA, and they like flew on their private jet here to Austin, and they like interview Elon Musk in a shitty hotel room on, like their gear's not shitty, but like, it's not
a professional setup really at the end of the day.
For sure. And I'm just watching it, and I'm like, how can these guys like just interview like the world's smartest, richest man, and they're just like, this is it, you know, like they just find a hotel room and like
throw some iPhones and a couple cameras or what have you on.
Exactly. And that's where it clicked to me. I was like, you know what, like if you look at, if I were to fly into New York City or LA, like I know that there's like a Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, McDonald's, whatever it is, like there's, I know I can get food there. I know that there's a WeWork or Industrious there where I can get some work done. But if I need to go create content, or like if I've got a client there that I need to have on a podcast and they just can't come here to Austin, it'd be way, way more efficient to have a membership at a studio that's in these creative cities. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like just meet us at the studio, and like, you know that you're going to get the same quality, the same look. You're going to have your membership profile already saved. So you're going to pop in, like, all of it's done for you, no matter
template.
The template. Exactly. And you're going to be able to provide an amazing experience to whoever that guest is, because it's going to be, you know, that luxury premium quality that you want them to feel.
Well, and it's one of the same reasons why we go to repeatedly the same restaurants at the end of the day, right? You know, as you look for consistency, you know, there's a couple restaurants in town that it doesn't matter whether you went 10 years ago or you went today. It tastes exactly the same, you know, and that's hard to find. But if you know what you get, when you're getting it, for how much, what it's going to look like, and everything else, you're going to come back over and over again. For sure. If you go to a place and every time the dish tastes a little bit different, you're probably not going to go back there as much. Definitely. You know? So you're making it easy at the end of the day. Exactly. So, which is tremendous.
Yeah. Convenience is everything.
We're a society of convenience. It's a good and bad thing, right? It's pushed us away from actually getting the knowledge to do those things. It's kind of funny. Even with my boys, they know how to change your oil. They know how to change batteries. They know how to change tires, things like just basic shit, right? Yeah. When I was their age, I was rebuilding motors and street racing and all sorts of stuff like that. But the thing was, they needed to have the basics, right? I'm huge in that we're a society that's losing men by the, you know, it's been happening over the years, right? So
I agree.
I wanted to instill these proper, you know, manly traits in my boys so that they could take those throughout the future. And it's not because it's not being overly masculine or anything else. It's just things are set up in a way by nature that are innate in work, right? You know, and so I want to make sure that I'm raising boys that can take care of a family.
For sure.
And I've explained to them, you can do this, and I can show you how to do this, and you can do it yourself. It doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah.
You know?
But at least you're equipped with the tools to do it.
And you understand.
For
you
sure.
know? And I mean, we do have a lot of things at our fingertips, YouTube, things like that. So there are resources.
Yeah.
And I think just a lot of people have just even stopped trying because they don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny. I love things delivered to the house.
Yep.
You know, I love groceries delivered to the house, but my wife will also tell you I love grocery shopping. I can literally, she hates it. She hates going with me. Last night,
Yeah.
she was like, hey, I'm going to run to the store. I'm going to get a couple things. I'm like, no, you're not, you know, and because I wanted to go. And she knows, okay, this half an hour event's going to turn into 2 hours because he's going to walk up and down every damn aisle and look at, hey, have you seen this? This is new. I find pleasure in that.
Sure.
I don't get it, but
Sure.
it just is what it is, you know, so. But with that said, so what are you looking at location-wise in the future? Are you looking at expanding? What's the deal?
Yep. So next up on the list for expansion is we've partnered with Kollective and you to make that happen.
See? I didn't want to say anything. I wanted him to say it, though. He had to say it.
So yeah, we'll be building out the new podcast studio up at the Kollective North location to start out, and we're really excited for that one with you guys, and it's gonna be just badass studio with all the top line gear, and you know we understand that like our community already is like health, wellness, fitness based, so like plugging into a gym like that with those type of members is like
it's huge.
It's
going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You know what? And it goes back to having a product that is a template.
For sure.
At the end of the day, you know, and I'm sure even like templates that we may use, and even if you do have like a Word doc template or something like that, everything's going to morph over time. You know, you can tweak it and stuff like that, but you have to have the opportunity to be able to tweak something to make it better.
For sure.
But the reason why the template portion works so well is the collective gets, you know, ridiculous athletes in there on a regular basis, you know, music guys, you name it, the who's who of everybody's in there. And how convenient is it going to be for anybody to go, hey, you got 15 minutes? Let's run upstairs and I'm going to push a button and we're going to sit there and talk for a little bit.
It's easy.
That's going to be insane. I think the content that comes out of the studio company-wise in general, even in the next 6 to 12 months, is going to be unreal.
Yeah.
And people are going to be chomping at the bit to get into one of these.
For sure. What I mean too, I mean it's you know, just like what Collective's done. I mean they've already got everything underneath one roof, like the gym, the sauna, like the cold plunge, like the red room, like they've got the labs for blood work and everything. Yeah. And it's like people are already like hell yeah. And it's like now you're just putting another hell yeah cherry on top where it's like, oh cool, now content is involved. Like now I can really, like, I've got a workspace with co-working, I've got the gym, content, all of it. Like, it's really all underneath one roof. Like,
you almost don't need to leave.
I'm surprised people don't live there at this point.
Exactly right. We'll have a room. We'll call it the rest and rehabilitation room. Little pillows in there, something like that. You know, it'll be insane, but it's something that we're stoked about. I think it's going to be tremendous.
It definitely is.
So, and with that said, you know, we're also looking to open a location in Nashville as well.
For sure.
And of course, we want you guys to be there too.
Yeah.
You know,
we want to be there as well. And that one's
going to be exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a whole lot of other things that we can even consider for that one too. Like even just putting in, you know, Nashville was one of the cities that was already on our list.
Yep.
Just because, you know, it's a music capital of the U.S. and this same software that we're using for podcasts, like we can put it into the music industry.
Uses.
Yeah, there's
100%.
other uses in it. You know, maybe it's a podcast room and a music recording room, or kind of like what Devin was saying. You know, sometimes the
music
athletes
spots and things like that, and product stuff. You know, multi-use, but again, a template.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you guys have done tremendous with that. You know, and that's something that, you know, again, being a society of convenience, was needed, you know, at the end of the day. You know, our office is a couple blocks away and we've got a room pretty much devoted for the most part to podcasting and stuff. It's nothing like this. You know, it's not. We're always having to screw with the light or do this or do that. This, you literally walk in, sit down, push a button, you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it's tremendous.
Well, and it's even easy, like, I mean, even just from my phone, even if you're in here and like, I can control it all through right there.
Wow.
Like, I mean, the tube lights, this light, the camera is like, I mean, it's just, it's unheard of, like, in the production space. Like, unless
100%.
you're, like, on Hollywood sets and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, sure, those guys got a
Yep.
huge budget to do whatever they want. But, like,
Yep.
at this level, I mean, being able to control cameras and lights and all of it from your phone or tablet, like,
It's insane.
It is.
It's tremendous.
it's nuts.
The next thing is to put these in houses.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it'd be really
I think
easy
that'd
to
be
do.
awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and we've got space, and I've got 2 houses that can be crash bunnies that we're pouring foundations on next week.
Wow.
So let's powwow about that. We've got a
Yeah.
3rd floor in them. It's where infrared saunas are going and things
Wow.
like that. So I've got room for it.
These
So,
are some nice houses.
yeah, no, and they're they're great. I love it. But the thing is from the industry that I'm in, we primarily build most of our homes that don't have a buyer, so it's a spec home. So we start a home and then sell it essentially. So we're always trying to come up with the newest, greatest, and best thing to use in a home. You know, years
Definitely.
ago we used to use Wolf appliances on everything. Didn't matter if it was in East Austin, Central, wherever.
Yeah.
Because the thing was, as you walked in, you saw the red knobs on a stove, and you
Yep.
immediately went, "Oh shit, that's an expensive stove.
Yeah.
Everything else in here is going to be awesome."
Yep.
You know, and that's one of the first things you see. And then we started doing saunas, and people are like, "You're putting fucking saunas in houses?" And we're like, "Well, yeah, well, why not?
Yeah.
That and steam showers
sure.
and things like that. It's just something else to give, you know."
Yeah.
We started putting car lifts in houses. So all the
that's smart.
houses we build, we put car lifts in.
Yeah.
Especially in the downtown area. You can have a single car garage, but now you can get 2 cars in.
For sure.
Which is tremendous because parking's horrid,
Yeah.
you know, in some cases in these neighborhoods downtown.
Yeah.
So we're always looking for that next cool thing, and I think that that's going to be one of the next things to do is at least prep it for it, right? You
Yeah.
know, we can prep the room, soundproof it, things of that nature, pre-wire it even,
Yeah.
and then bring you guys in from a consulting role
For sure.
to set something like that up. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be the full-blown thing. However, it can be a setup or a shape in a square footage that's meant to be utilized in that manner.
For sure.
You know?
Well, and you guys obviously know your buyer and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
too, and it's probably, you know, C-suite executives or
Yep.
very successful entrepreneurs, and they understand the value of their time, and if they can have a studio that's gonna help them create their content or whatever they need to do, and they
Exactly.
can do it all from their home, like, sure, I'm sure they'd love this, but what they'd love even more is to not leave their home,
Yeah.
work, office, whatever it is, and just
Yeah.
boom, do it right
You know
there.
what's funny is personally, I can't do that. I can't.
I have to get out of the house.
It's hard for me to work at home, you know, because it's one of those things of, oh, well, I need to lay some steaks out for tonight.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm going to go ahead and throw that load of laundry
There's
in the
always
dryer.
something.
Or the dog needs to go outside. Yeah. There's something mentally about me leaving and closing the door
Yeah.
behind me that sets my mind.
100%.
You know, I'm extremely ADD, and I think that portion helps quite a bit.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a mental thing for me.
I'm the
So,
same way.
yeah.
I remember when COVID first happened, and it was also when I just got back from Australia because I was living over there before COVID, and like I put together like a whole home setup and stuff. And I was going insane. I'm like I can't do this. Like I
Yeah.
can't live and go to sleep in this room and work in this room, and then also like, you know, girlfriend at the time, like
Yeah.
she's working out there in the living room, and I'm like, this is insane. Like I need to be able to separate like my identities here,
Yeah.
basically, of like, you know, if I'm at home, and that's like my personal life. But
Yep.
if I'm at the office or studio, that's my business
Yeah.
life, you know. And I'm just like, I gotta
Yeah.
have the separation.
Well, and there's something to be said about, you know, a lot of the stuff that we missed during COVID was interaction, right? We were
Yeah.
told we couldn't interact and we couldn't do this and we couldn't do that. So we segregated and put ourselves on islands,
Yeah.
you know, which was harmful in all realms, you know.
For sure.
Being in a construction industry, we were considered essential. Although I've got a shirt that you'll see me wear often that says essential as fuck on it. But at the end of the day, we lost a lot of that. I've got to be out
Yeah.
to get ideas, you know, to look
For
at
sure.
things, creativity, you know. I do have a brain that's design and technically oriented. I have to have that. Otherwise, my creativity dies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
yeah, some people can do it, some people can't. I can't. I will always be in a place like this,
For sure.
hands down. And I think people feed off one another as well. You know, there's an energy
Yep.
that people put off, and it helps you. And if you don't have that around you, it's damaging
Yeah.
psychologically.
Definitely.
It a lot of points. So, this is something I'm super excited about. Let's talk about personal life. What do you like
Yeah.
to do on your off time when you're not not in front of a camera, at least like right now,
Or
behind a camera?
I know. Usually I'm behind the camera.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, personal life has definitely changed a lot over we had our new baby girl.
Yeah.
August 14th. So
Yeah.
a little bit over a month old now.
Yeah,
So like
you getting sleep?
we are. She's
Really?
Yeah. She's actually.
They're either really good or not so much.
Man, we've been blessed with
That is
almost
awesome.
the best baby ever because she doesn't cry that much. Sleep like last night, slept for 6 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
That's insane.
We're doing pretty good.
So the second one, it's coming, right?
Well, I don't.
may be
I
the
think we're
complete
good with
opposite.
one.
You're
I
like,
think we're
"We're
good.
good."
I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. I always just wanted one, and
Yeah.
I think. After going through birth and everything, I think
Yeah.
MK is now like,
She's
I'm
like,
good with one.
"One's good." Yeah. Yeah.
So.
No, I can get it. I get it for sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like a lot more. I safeguard my time now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm here at the office or studio from this time to this time. After that, like,
Yep.
if someone's trying to do business, text me or
Yep.
like it's delayed after those hours because
Yeah.
I'm in dad mode. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying my time with Riley and taking care of MK and making sure she gets some time to do whatever she needs to do because
Yeah.
she's been super mom by just allowing me to come back to work and get stuff like this
Yeah.
done with you guys and all
Yeah.
that good stuff. But
That's something that gets overlooked is the power of a good mom.
yeah,
At the end of the day, I couldn't
sure.
do it.
no,
I couldn't do it. When my wife and I actually, I'll make this as brief as humanly possible. We met in our early 20s, both went different ways. Both got married, both had kids.
Yeah.
Both got divorced similar around the same time and then reconnected
Wow.
when we were older. She had, again, two from a previous marriage. I had one. And so when we came back together, everything was melded. We were older, right?
Sure.
So with that said, my son's mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I went to work every day and things of that nature. Loved it.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I could not do what she did.
It's a lot.
And then there'd be times where I'd come home and her hair would be all, and everything. And I'm like, what on earth? And then I spent a couple days in her spot and I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, there's no way I could do it. But that's, most women are built that way.
For sure.
They're the nurturers. They're,
sure.
they're the ones that are built to handle that.
Yep.
Not me. So they don't get enough gratitude,
Yeah.
or props for doing what
sure.
it is they do.
For sure. And I mean, I heard it somewhere on a podcast before, and at the time, like it didn't resonate with me because we weren't pregnant, we didn't have a child or anything, but the guy was like basically explaining like, my wife stays at home as a stay-at-home mom, but like that's equivalent to, basically $250,000 salary. And so like when you really start looking at it, you're like, yeah, it is. And it's like, it's basically childcare or like grocery,
Yes.
all these things that you would pay somebody to do if they weren't a stay-at-home mom. Like you're going to be paying somebody a salary of that basically. And so it is a full-time job. And I'm like,
100%.
like, that's what people don't really consider. They're like, oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom. Like, it's just chill. It's like, no.
Well,
they're
yeah.
working. Just breastfeeding alone. Like,
Yeah.
I watch that and I'm like, I don't know how you have the patience to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a tough thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, and that's the thing. Okay, so nothing against women that go out and, go to work right after,
Yeah.
But essentially, unless you're making a substantial amount of
sure.
money, you are working to pay someone else to raise your child.
for sure.
At the end of the day, right?
For sure.
To your point, you've got daycare, you've got food, you've got this,
Yeah.
you've got to pay for gas to go back and forth to work, and that,
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. And when you equal that out,
Yeah.
it is a full-time job,
It is.
and it's a full-time job to someone else that you have to pay.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be a full-time job for you?
For sure.
To actually raise a child the way that you wanted in the environment that you wanted.
Exactly.
And so 100%.
Yep. And that's we had talked a lot about that going into it. And it's like we want to raise her the exact way that we want to raise her, you know, and like, you know, from a whole, you know, we're not big on like the vaccine thing either because it's like, I don't know if you've looked at that.
Anti-vax.
Yeah. It's
pure blood.
It is scary.
No,
like,
it's insane.
Like they want to push 76 vaccines down your child's, like they want to, you know, they want to give 76 vaccines all before the age of 2. And it's like, no, like, I mean, cause we're like, okay, like, you know, we'll do the core vaccines, right? Like whatever's needed. Like, I think maybe I had 10 whenever I was younger. Like, fine, whatever. The polio,
the measles, polio, stuff like that.
I'm good with that. You know, like those have been around. They're tried and tested. There's data. But like, you can't tell me that like, you know, the first day that Riley was born, they're like, oh, well, she needs the Hep B vaccination. It's like, well, no, she doesn't. Like, she's not going to be around people having dirty sex. You know? Like, why would you give this to her? It doesn't make sense. And so, like, you know, it actually took us a long time. Like, it took us probably 3 weeks to find a doctor office that would take us because we didn't want to go on their vaccine schedule and stuff. But I say all that to say, like, we know what we wanted there. And I'm like, I would rather you stay at home, take as much time as you need so that our daughter gets the life that we want her to have. And I'll go back to work and I'll just work double hard to like make this happen because like if that's what it takes, you're doing everything it takes to raise her, then I'm going to do everything it takes, you know, to fulfill my family's dreams and everything like that. And
that's parenting.
Yeah.
Straight up. That's what parenting is, right?
Yep.
You know, it's kind of funny, even going down a vaccine road. Have you ever looked or seen any videos on the Amish and the way they look at things and the disease that they do not have and
I haven't, but I just watched the Full Send guys last night, and it was this 30-minute long video about them trying to corrupt an Amish person.
Oh, yeah.
But they went and lived with the Amish people for 2 days, and it was kind of eye-opening. But I haven't gone down that road. But I'm interested to hear what you got to say there.
Super interesting. They don't have disease and illness and sickness like we have.
Interesting.
They don't do vaccines. They don't do generalized medicine unless it's, you know, a true antibiotic because you have to have a surgery or something like that. My understanding is they're anti all of that. And because of that, the health and the lifestyles that they live are clean and healthy.
Yeah.
So then you look at things like that. I've always thought, I had seen a video on this, and at the end they were like, how come you can't go to like the CDC or the FDA or look at all these tests or studies that have been done, and how come there are never any done on the Amish community?
Interesting.
Because it's 100% against everything that they're pushing.
I never even thought about that.
They grow their own food. They have their own livestock. They teach their own kids.
Yeah.
They don't give vaccines. They don't give medicines.
Yeah.
They're into more natural things. They do not have disease. They don't have Down syndrome. They don't have a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And you just look at this and you go, well, what's the difference here?
Yeah. Well, it's everything from the processed foods to like, I mean, even on this episode I was watching last night, the one of the guys had like a bag of flaming hot Cheetos or something and was about to eat it. And the Amish guy was like, no, we don't eat that around here. Like, that's bad. Like, and he even went as far to say like, he's like, oh, you're tired in the morning? That bag of chips is why. But
100%.
It's the processed food. And I mean, MK and I don't even like, it's hard for us to even trust any of it anymore, where it's just like, I don't know what's in this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you go to HEB or whatever, and it's like, I mean, you buy fruit, guacamole, whatever, it's bad within 3 days, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Or it lasts for like a month, and you're like,
yeah, that's also why too.
What's going on with this? You know, it was funny. My wife with my son, my previous wife, I guess is what I should say. She was a type 1 diabetic. And so we had to watch a lot of her sugar intake and carbs and stuff like that. And she would read a label, look at it, and do her insulin measurements because she had an insulin pump and everything based on what was on the box. And most of the time, it was completely incorrect. Like it would say super low carb, great for diabetics, blah, blah, blah.
That's scary.
And she would watch and test her blood sugar, 10, 15, and on purpose is like an experiment. And a lot of times her blood sugar would just shoot through the roof.
Whoa.
To your point, that you can't even trust what's on a label anymore, right?
Yeah.
They'll just change the name or something.
Yeah, or they, present the data in a way that doesn't exactly tell the whole truth. It's like it's like they redefine what a serving size is or something like that.
Exactly.
And it's, but it's like my whole process is like thought process is, okay, if you can't even trust the food, then why are you going to trust a vaccine? Especially
anything.
exactly.
Well, and it goes back to with food. How come there's several countries in the world that do not allow our food over there?
For sure. When I lived in Australia, Mike, I was the most cut, fit I had ever been in my entire life.
Yeah.
I didn't really change anything. I was still doing the same, like, 1-a-day workouts.
Yeah.
I was still eating the same amount. Like,
it was just clean.
It was clean. Like, I mean, it was just like, I was shredded in a way that, like, I just wasn't over here.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you've just got way cleaner food.
100%.
Everywhere around the world, I think, has cleaner food than us, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm a big hunter. We also typically buy our beef from a rancher buddy that I have. We're going to start growing cattle as well on our ranch, just because, the visual impression of meat and the taste, night and day, versus what you get in a supermarket.
Interesting.
And so I'm huge on that. That, again, in game, we eat a lot of game, because it's clean. I know what they were fed. We grew the deer. We,
Definitely.
things like that. And there was a reason, if even, my parents' age, my mom grew up on a farm, and they were steaking potatoes and, they didn't have obesity back then, and they didn't have this, and they didn't have disease like we do now.
Yep.
And because, again, they grew everything they ate.
For sure.
And so that just tells you, but that's the thing, if you do it slowly, you won't notice.
Yep.
And that's unfortunately what's been happening to us, much like, even division in this country.
For sure.
Wedges are being driven between people.
Yep.
No matter what your political stance are, what your sexual preferences, anything, wedges are being driven between us as people, as Americans, because we're stronger as a group. And there's a force out there that doesn't want us to unite, and doesn't want us to be together. We weren't put on this earth to live alone. We were put on this earth to grow and live together.
Yep.
So,
well, the installation of fear that's the biggest thing, right? Like
100%.
They've instilled fear since COVID, and that's been the big wedge. And there's a difference between what people are, open to saying. There's a difference in what people say publicly and what they say privately now. Mm-hmm. And that then that's where fear is, right? Because, like, I don't want to offend this person, but I'll talk like this in my own household. Yeah. But that's also division, right? And so, like, that's what they've done, in my opinion.
And to your point, the easiest way to control someone is to scare the out of them.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way.
Yep.
And I get in trouble a little bit because my mouth is a little bit big on the things that I believe in. But I truly think I don't care.
But if not, if you then who? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And my thing is, I've always been a person, I want to know what you think.
Yeah.
We can have differences. Awesome. I can take what I want and leave the rest, high five, and we're good.
For sure.
Those days have disappeared. I love learning from people.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have to agree, but it helps inform me.
For sure.
Back when, the whole PC thing started, and having, now there's a difference in being polite and being this, that, and the other, but,
PC,
being politically correct.
Okay.
And years ago, and that was like in the Bush era, right? You had to be, a little more formal and politically correct in how you speak. That. Yeah. At the end of the day, words are words, and they're of expression. In the Bible, it even says, it's funny. I actually asked my pastor. I've asked several pastors this. Can you show me in the Bible where it says is a sin, like the word, right? Because I want to know. Yeah. And it's not. Yeah. There's nowhere in the Bible that curse words are bad. However, if any word is used as a weapon. Yep. To have a sharp tongue in order to injure someone or cause harm, any word then is not good. So with that said, I've always just thought that they were a means of expression. Those
Yep.
words can be verbs, vowels, adjectives, all sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
They're very descript.
Definitely.
But that's often got me in trouble with that included in my opinion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want that genuineness from other people.
Yeah.
Because we've put up this facade.
Yep.
And no one really knows who the real individuals are anymore.
I agree.
You know?
I agree.
And I would love to be able to get back to that. We should be a community of different thoughts, you know, different things we love and hate and things like that. And hate's even a tremendously strong word.
Sure.
But because that's what makes us unique and makes us community. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all Americans, at least in this country, and we're here to walk through life together.
Yep.
You know, and that's something that we're missing.
Yep. I agree. I mean, I feel like it's even hard to, it's hard to have real conversations with people anymore because it's just well, let me back that up. What I really mean is it's hard to create deep, meaningful friendships and relationships now because conversations are only surface level because there's that fear there and stuff. And that's a really big problem and challenge. And like, it's something I've even seen it in me personally over the last couple of years. I'm just like, man, like I've got friends, I've got great friends, but you know, like I don't have those like really deep rooted, meaningful relationships like I had with like my fraternity brothers or something like that, you know? And it's just, it shows me that like, that's just where the population has gone and stuff.
But that's purposeful.
For sure.
They don't want that. You know, I had someone tell me years ago, and it stuck with me, and it'll stick with me all my life. He said, I have hundreds of acquaintances and very few friends.
Yeah.
And that's true, right?
Yeah.
You know, because you just don't want to, you know, society's gotten to a place that you don't want everybody to know exactly what you think and things of that nature. Or you're a bad guy for whatever reason.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm all about like, you know, especially in business, I'm like, I don't need to show you everything, you know, because like I like to, like, if I'm up to something and you're my competition, I don't want you to know about it. Like I like to operate in silence and execute in the dark and then come out on the other side and it's like, oh shit, that's what that guy was doing. So I'm all about that, but like it's a different thing with conversations and stuff 100%. Like that.
True connection. Yep. You know, absolutely.
And I mean the word and using that in conversations. That one was when I first saw Gary Vaynerchuk talking, you know, because I grew up and my parents would always like, they'd be like, you can't swear like that. Like, like people are gonna think you're a degenerate, like that you're not smart and stuff. And I always thought that, but then when I first saw him, I'm like, well, this guy's like multi-millionaire and he talks however he wants and he's built this company. So I'm like, he's just being him. And that to me, I was like, well, I'm just going to be me. And I like using the word like, I don't know, like
exactly.
Sometimes it offends people, but I'm like, you're missing context here. Like, I'm not saying like at you. I'm just I'm just expressing it. Like that's just me, you know?
Well, and that's the thing. And one of the reasons why he probably is so successful is because he was one of the first just to go, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say. This is me. Take what you want and leave the rest.
Exactly.
Which is tremendous. Yeah. And I think that is coming back around. I think we're starting to see that a little bit more in the environment where people are like, you know, eyes are opening. People are, you know, finally seeing things for what they are versus what, you know, what has been the past years. And people are starting to think for themselves.
Yeah, which is good.
And that gives genuineness, right?
Yep.
Because you're looking behind that veil of what we have been told we're supposed to do and how to act, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. I know that I'm really looking forward and moving forward with stuff with the collective, watching this grow, utilizing this, getting more great content out. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
That's about it, brother.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to it as well, and we can't wait to get started. So.
Awesome.